Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today we are talking about Lyft tipping info shut down. So recently I got an email from one of my subscribers. BC, thank you so much for emailing me about this and making this video possible. That said, I was not planning on making this video, especially since it caused a stir up in an adjacent industry to what I normally talk about, and not to mention it didn't even stick. But because there is an interesting dynamic between the customers, the drivers, and the platform, it is worth at least touching on it gently. So with that said, we are talking about everything that's being said in this article, how it actually is for DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub drivers and customers, and everything in between. But before we do that, let's go over a quick disclaimer. The content of this video does not contain and is never intended to be legal, business, financial, tax, or health advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is advised that you conduct your own research and consult qualified professionals before applying anything you find online. I also want to be clear that everything that we're going to be going over is very market to market and case by case. What applies to me and my market may not apply to you. So with that said, let's get started. Interesting how people reacted to this rating. Lyft scraps feature that lets drivers see riders' tipping habits before accepting rides. So for a very short pilot program, Lyft allowed people who were driving for their platform to get an idea of who their customer was. Somebody who tips well or doesn't tip at all. How effective are they at showing up to the pickup location? Do they actually tip their drivers, or do they say they're going to tip their drivers but never actually do? And it allowed for a level of transparency not really seen too much in the gig economy. Like, we see on DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub the general concept of whether you tipped or not, but we don't really see the overall tipping habits or the overall showing up to the right location habits that normally transpires when talking about these delivery apps or dealing with these rideshare apps. Lyft actually did something that was unprecedented and was very helpful to drivers. That said, that led to a lot of unruly customers, you know, the loud, mouthy, I wish you weren't even here customers that really represent a minority but are the loudest of the bunch, to talk about boycotting Lyft. And the best part is that this was boycotted in a Reddit called End Tipping. Make it a little bit more clear that these customers aren't worth your time. Not to mention how important a feature like this would be, by the way, for a service that people don't see upfront tipping for. As delivery workers, we expect an upfront tip, but for rideshare drivers, that's not normal. In fact, as somebody who's taken part of rideshare personally, as a rider, I don't get asked that question until I'm out of the vehicle. It's also interesting how this was only available to a handful of drivers, and yet it became such a loud issue out of nowhere. Tipping is optional, and Lyft has the audacity to treat it like it's free with a minimum. That's wild. Haven't ridden with either rideshare platform in a few years, but this expletive is insane to me, one writes. Anybody who claims that tipping is optional is a customer not worth working with, because most people who say that don't tip at all, first of all. And second of all, everybody knows tipping is optional, but it is a revelation of the character that is the person you are serving. Because I'll tell you what, for me personally, this is me speaking to me here, my tipping minimums are $5 or 20%, whichever is higher. And 9 times out of 10, the driver's appreciative of that much. Regardless of that comment and all of the criticism it got online for it, people were assuming that Lyft is gonna fail. Basically, they're done with Lyft and they're boycotting the platform. And because of their jelly spines, or at least in my opinion is a very jelly spine, they no longer are testing that feature anymore. Like, they prefer to deal with crappy customers that no one likes than have an exclusivity for quality drivers that everyone likes. Like, I don't like DoorDash for a lot of reasons, but when they create a pilot program, the majority of the time, they're gonna stick with that pilot program. Like, it's not always perfect. Like, it's not always something that is utilized in the right way and doesn't accomplish what they're trying to accomplish, but at least when they create something, they follow through with it. Especially if it benefits them more than the drivers and it still benefits the drivers. Because at the end of the day, this is a luxury service. You're asking somebody to allow you into their vehicle, drive you someplace, drop you off, and risk their safety in the process. You don't know them and they don't know you. And it's amazing how many people are using the excuse of tip fatigue and having a problem with tipping as a reason to not tip their drivers. Like, I have heard people say in the past, like, oh, I've changed the way I've tipped people because I've got burned in the past and now I don't tip as much up front anymore. You know, you just said one person changed the entire dynamic of me as a human being and changed my core values. And therefore, I'm going to be shitty as a person for that reason. Also, 9 times out of 10, if you have an issue with DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub, they will just refund you a certain amount or give you some kind of credit. So there's really no real issue with you tipping more up front.
Oh my god, but it's always such a hassle to fight with them over the phone.
And it's also such a hassle to deal with a customer that doesn't want to tip their drivers. Again, I don't want to go too deep into the details of this. Lyft and Uber as a rideshare platform is not my niche. The rideshare guy is a better specialist for that. So feel free to get their input on it. But in my opinion, if this is enough reason for you to not use a platform or for you to not tip your drivers, go away. No one wants you there anyway. If you guys would like to email me something that's happening in your market today, make sure to shoot me an email at drivenwild@gmail.com, and who knows, maybe you can get a shout out in a video as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. Check out my website, drivenwild.com, if you would like to learn more about some of the platforms and services we have talked about in the past and are going to be talking about in the future and offering to gig workers today. Also, if you want to stay on the cutting edge of what's happening in the gig economy today and be in the know of what most people are talking about, make sure to check out our new channel, the Gone Wild Live Clips and Podcasts, where we take the live streams we hold on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and cut them down to more digestible clips and have them posted there. Also, check out my Patreon for full-length live stream replays, exclusive clips that can't be posted on YouTube, as well as other membership perks for self-employed individuals who want to grow and scale their business. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you